we've got
We've had that here
repairs.
for 5 years.
Oh, I know, but you've got, I mean, we just saw some repairs, the repair bills from the jail. I mean, I was flabbergasted that in order to get the shower repaired, it was almost $1,600. The parts and the plumbing and all that, because of the way it was set up. I mean, yeah, we have that kind of money to pay for those kind of expenses, but we're not saving
Not for every
fixture. We had an emergency plumbing issue that was, a couple years ago, that cost us a pretty penny. I can't remember what that one was. I mean, we know when I first started, the air conditioning in the courthouse there's like 8 or 10 units up there. And what we did then is every year we told the custodian that she could replace 3. We could not get them all replaced at once. We couldn't afford the budget, but we could have placed up to 3 a year. And I think we have new air conditioners on the roof. You know, I mean, it's budgeting, and you know the tax rate's is where it's at. I mean, there's no more money to be trying to shovel into a fund in jail. I mean, can this rate go down? Yeah. Yeah, it sure can. It sure can. But I mean, after a year, I mean, this can always be addressed. Every opportunity, and it needs to be. It needs to be addressed. If there's no plans within a year, then get rid of the tax.
There should be 10 times as many people up here at the courthouse if there's no plan in a year saying
I mean, if there's no
Yeah.
plan
you're
in
taxing
something,
me
then
and you didn't do anything with it. You're
Yes.
exactly right.
get rid of it. I
Yeah.
mean, the whole idea was the lit tax was to start it, and then we would find a way to pay for it to get rid of it. We can't. We can't, folks. We can't. Lit brings in 400 or 325,000. That pays about a third of your 911. Oh. And there's nowhere else to get it in the budget to say to get rid of that tax. So we have to think outside that box. And, I mean, lit tax and this is the only thing that I've been on here for 8 years that we are taught. Lit was the only tax that we've passed so far, and this is the only second thing that we've passed in 8 years. To try a new tax to help move us forward in that right direction. But another big thing that we did here is that you know, we made the area plan. Area plan has money in their bank account. It's tax you guys pay from them, that tax rate. They have this savings account. Next year, they don't have a tax rate. We got rid of it. They're gonna have to they can live off that savings for a year, and they're gonna have to be revenue generated to keep that office open. Or they're gonna have to come back and ask for a tax. Well, we've already used that tax to help pay for things in the general fund that we couldn't pay for. We're not gonna go down that path again of getting rid of officers, getting rid of ambulance garages. We've already been there. You're gonna have to pay more taxes. Services go up. We want to be safe in our community. You know, we have to think of, you know, and to keep 911 running, to keep ambulances running, the sheriff's deputies running, you know, the courthouse running. We always are repairing things that we sometimes just can't save. And this law that they passed that allows us to do that is a start. Is a start. And unfortunately, I mean, I hate it. I hate it that we're talking about this. But I do know that 1 year, that 700,000 is gonna go a long way for any repairs that we have if we're not gonna build a jail. That can go a long way with the 2 million that we would have in that fund as well. No, it's not going to. We're not gonna solve that drug problem here. We're not going to.
No one else is.
No.
It's just so sad.
You aren't seeing it anywhere else being solved. Where else is it being solved?
I think we're a county of under 20,000 people. And I think we haven't really looked at a solution, or even possible solution.
Where are you gonna put them? Where are you gonna put put them.
Wouldn't it be cheaper
Where?
to build, if we're gonna build, and it sounds like that's what we're going to do? No, I'm in favor of shipping them up.
So I am too.
You can't do that.
We can't do that.
Check on that?
Yeah, we did.
I did.
We did. We did.
Okay.
You can't do it.
You
Yeah,
But
you can't do
there's
it.
also the possibility of making a regional rehab, where we're going together with several counties.
That doesn't happen overnight. We cannot wait,
And it
we're
still
gonna
costs
get
money.
sued the pants off of us if we don't
You
do
can
this.
build it and
now.
still get sued.
But
But
see,
see,
this
this
tax,
tax, when it gets
sir,
sued.
when
Hold on a minute.
this
Hold on.
tax-
Let me get real about something, okay? Our jail, we have 64
Yeah.
inmates in there right now, okay? So let's get real. We don't build this jail. Yeah, what we're trying with the inmates who are wanting to fight almost daily, we put our lives on the line every freaking day to house those inmates, to take care of those inmates, okay? Had an inmate the other day just threaten my life because he had to pay a $20 doctor bill. As soon as he got out, he was gonna come take care of me. Well, come on. Now, what I'd like to do, and get real, is, and Lori, we've talked about this, invite all you down, spend one day, one 12-hour shift with us, with those addicts, which is disease, but spend one 12-hour shift with us and see what our job is. Now, let's get real about the jail. And I'm so disheartened right now to hear you talking about taking the money and putting it someplace else. This county needs a new jail. One way or the other, we're going to have a new jail, period. That's all there is to it, whether it be 10 million or 14 million. If you build it for 65, you're building it way too short. Way too short. Way too short.
But that's all we can
So-
afford.
I understand, Jamie, but is John's life and my life not worth taking care of? I mean, these inmates, they're stacked on top of each other. 3 guys in 5 men in a 2-man cell. 5 men in a 2-man cell that's 9 by 4, 9 by 5. You want to live that way? Let me tell you, we need the jail, period. And she's right, we need to get something, some kind of program with the addicts. But it's not gonna happen overnight, just like Ms. Brown said, it's not gonna happen overnight. But I am so disheartened to hear this money talking about going someplace else other than the jail. Oh my God, I am so livid.
All this money can't go in there.
This money
It's in
can't.
jail.
You said it was gonna go to repairs.
You said it's gonna go repairs.
It can go to repairs. It can, yeah, repairs on a jail? Yeah, it can go repairs on a jail.
But you can't repair
Remodel
that jail over
jail.
there, that's just,
Yeah.
Okay,
my God.
unless someone has anything else to say about the tax, let's quit. Scott? the
I
tax.
just want to reiterate what you said initially. We're here to discuss the increase in a tax for a new jail. We are not here to discuss societal changes where the council nor the commissioners are going to change society. We're not going to do that. We don't have that ability, nor, even if you include everyone in this entire room, we're not going to change society. We have to move forward, and it's going to be baby steps. It is. We can't even imagine what the jail's going to look like at this point. We are anticipating the future, and this is just a start to get to that point. It may take 3 or 4 years, or 2 years, I don't know. None of us do. This is just a start to lay some money aside to be ready when that time occurs, because it's going to occur.
Thank you. Do you have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll just add that in the ordinance as it's written, for what the money can be used for, well, is the revenue associated with this rate shall be directed to the correctional facilities and rehabilitation facilities fund prior to the distribution of the remainder of revenue allocated to the expenditure rate.
What was the last line you said there?
The revenue associated with this rate shall be directed to the correctional facilities and rehabilitation facilities fund prior to the distribution of the remainder of the revenue allocated to the expenditure rate.
Just to fun way to say it can go to a jail or a
It
rehab
says it goes into
facility.
that fund, it's got $1.5 million in it.
Never use one word when 17 will do. So moved.
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Josh Blue, Grant Town. All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion passed 6-0. Next on our agenda is the ordinance 2018-104, which passed previously on vote. How many was it? 6 to 1?
Date was 10-4, I think.
10-4. So I guess I would call for a motion.
So that we can open discussion, I move that we adopt ordinance number 2018-104 on second reading.
Second.
Okay, with that said, with that motion, further discussion, I'd like for each person to share their views. Kevin, you want to start?
Sure. I appreciate the discussion this evening. I think I want to remind everybody quickly that we're all in the same boat. We may have differing opinions, but we're in the same boat in the sense that we want what's best for the county. That's certainly why I'm sitting in this chair. I am for this tax. I'll vote for this ordinance for many of the reasons that have already been shared. I try to approach this as practically as I can, and as a leader in my own family and a provider in my own family, when we're set with a purchase, or we know that we're going to be, as a family, outgrowing something, a vehicle, a home, you prudently start to set back money and make preparations for the next season of your life. It doesn't make sense to me to declare I need a new vehicle and somebody to say, well, all you're going to do is drive it. You know, all you're going to do is drive it and wear it out. We probably will fill the jail, but if that's the way that we choose to go. But I still think that this puts us in a good spot to start saving money and start preparing for whatever the project is down the road.
Jim?
Well, at first I didn't even support it going to be on the first reading because I didn't see a plan. I still didn't see a plan. Okay? I can tell you, being on this council for 8 years now, the 2 mistakes that I want to share that I voted for, that I should never have voted for, was the GIS system in this county and the new CAD program in 911. The GIS program wasn't because it was a good idea to get rid of the the little guy that sits in this little room in the auditor's office that drew by pencil, splitting up parcels and all that, and by pencil measuring it out, and having this big map and all of us coming to the courthouse to do that. It was never defined how much it was actually going to cost us. And doing budgets after that, you just keep seeing these fees. GIS fee, layer this fee, layer that fee, how many users, and we have no idea how many people are using this thing. And that's one of the things that I mentioned to the commissioners. They have to sit down and see where we are. Why every line item in the budget, almost every department has a GIS fee. Why isn't this all under one big lump? Because it's all one big project. And the reason for that's a great system we have. It makes life so much easier looking it up. But it's a cost to us taxpayers. It just doesn't make much sense to me. The second was the CAD. We needed a new CAD system for 911 for our officers and dispatch. There was no doubt about that. And we had a deal. We had this company that had a great deal that if we signed up and paid them this amount of money, we're gonna save hundreds of thousands of dollars. Well, it's about 2 years old now, and we haven't even used it yet, so it don't work. So, commissioners are taking action on that right now. They're working with their attorney to rectify that problem. But that was money we kind of had set aside that we would use to fund those projects. And to me, this is kind of the same thing. We're wanting to raise money, we don't even know what we're doing yet. Okay, well, we gotta do something. But that's why I didn't vote on it for the first time. When it came to the second time it came up in our special session, I went home and I started looking through numbers, and that's me, I like numbers, I'm weird, and looking at how we would pay for a jail, and being realistic and conservative, and I use every coupon, Steve will contest to that, I use every coupon I can think of, printing and using. We have to start saving. I don't know, we've left that term broad here, whether it's a remodel, whether it's a new, whether we're using it for a rehab facility, I don't know, but we have to start somewhere. And we have. We should be proud of everyone in this county and your elected officials that we can put $2 million away for a project set aside. And this tax will bring in another $700,000 for that. But I do ask that if this passes today, that our commissioners do move forward with wanting something to move forward and not just taxes, have a little bank account saved up. That we do decide on remodeling, building, rehab facility, whatever that might be, that we do move forward and we look diligently to get it done next year. That we even, or next year, or 2019 or 2020, that we start. You know, it's gonna take 2 or 3 years to build the thing.
I just want to start by thanking everybody for being here. When I can guarantee you unequivocally that the 7 members of this council do not want to build a jail. There's nobody that wants to spend $14 million on a jail. That's not why we get out of bed in the morning. But the reality is the reality. And so when we're faced with this solution, we have to do something. It is not our lane to worry about what we do. It's our job as a council to be good financial stewards of the taxpayers' money. And I have to look at every one of you when I go to dinner and go to church and be able to look at you in the eye and say that I did the best that I could to make sure that you were protected and that we didn't bankrupt the county. I want to back up just a minute to talk about what the tax is, because the discussion kind of got broad today, which, you know, I appreciate a lot of strong emotions about this topic, but the tax itself is 0.2%, and like I said up before, on a $50,000 income, somebody that gets paid every other week, that's $3.85 on their check, is what the cost is. The tax can only be spent on a jail or a rehab facility. So this money cannot be collected and say, hey, we're gonna build a jail, and then it goes into salaries or, you know, some other thing that is not what we told you it would be paid for, and it cannot be spent for that. So, you know, that's one thing that I really want to make clear. I too am a numbers person, and I just want to kind of break down what the real costs look like. The commissioners have been presented with a plan, it's roughly $13 million. It's in excess of 100 beds. And I'm not saying that's a plan, okay? So I worked off of that. If you finance that whole $13 million, okay, the cost of the project is, and this is at 4.25% interest. It's not what we were quoted. We were quoted 4.65, so these numbers get larger. So, but that's $19.3 million is the total cost of the project with interest. If we'd have built a $13 million, borrowed $13 million. If we enact this tax, we as a council are committed to putting as much money down on this thing as we possibly can. We're gonna pinch and save, find money out of every crack and crevice that we can muster to get this amount that we borrowed down. So I'll just give you an example. On that $13 million facility, if we can put down $4 million, we would borrow or bond $9 million, and the total cost of the project of that borrowed money is $13.3 million. Jack was pretty much correct. For every $1 million that we can save, we save somewhere between $500,000 and $600,000 of interest. So those are the dollars and the cents. Just so you understand, this tax will generate roughly $728,000 a year. The bond payments on $9 million will be roughly $668,000. So we could, there've been a lot of numbers thrown around here tonight. But we can build a $13 million jail if we can come up with $4 million to put down on it and make the payments on the bond with the amount of money that we're raising today. There's a lot of moving pieces, and I'm not saying that, and I'll give you one example. The bondholders like security, like any other lending institution. And if those people will let us, or feel more comfortable and give us a lower interest rate if we enacted a small property tax, very small property tax, but it's all about the percentages. Because if our bond payment is $725, they want 125%-ish of that to be in the tax, and then you get a better interest rate. So what we can do, and this is for another day and another discussion, but I'm not saying that we have the solution, but if we instituted a small property tax, we could lower our interest rate, pay off the bonds early, and have an overall decrease the cost to the county. I also have an aversion to risk, and I want to quantify some of these things for you. In terms of liability, and I'm not an attorney, but I do interact with a lot of attorneys in my work. The thing that delivers big verdicts, and I'm getting along here, I'm going to sew this up here, I promise. The thing that delivers big verdicts in cases is when you do something and you knew it was wrong. And I think that's pretty common sense for everybody. We know we shouldn't have 64 people in a jail that was built for 34 people. And it's not unlike the tobacco attorneys in the 1990s. People were selling cigarettes, they knew the cigarettes were hurting people, and then they denied it, and look, in the settlements they got were billions of dollars, okay? And those are all handled in federal court. So, federal court should scare everybody, because in the state of Indiana, we have tort reform, we have very common sense laws. The county cannot be sued in state court for excess of $5 million, but for the most part. They cap our liability at $5 million. There is no cap on a federal suit. And in Elkhart County, within the last 10 years, there was a $45 million settlement associated with a prisoner death. And as we let our prison population grow, the odds of having one of these severe altercations increases. So if you think that spending $13 million is rough, it's a lot of money. It's the biggest amount of money I think this council's ever even heard about spending. But I would much rather spend $13 million and decrease our risk than I would have a $45 million judgment and no jail, and then a federal judge come in saying, on top of that $45 million, you're gonna spend another $30 million on a jail. Do you know what your tax bills would look like at that point? I mean, it is astronomical, the kind of numbers that could be. So I will leave it at that. More than anything, I thank everybody for being here today. It's been tremendous, all the feedback that we've gotten. I want to thank Mayor Evans that helped us out today by video recording this. We're going to post this online so that you can share this and let other people know what's going on here. I've really appreciated the interaction from the community, and I hope that you all hold us accountable, because I will be supporting the tax, but I hope that you all hold us accountable and continue this debate as passionately as you've done today. Thank you.
I'll be brief. Objectively, we have a problem with our correctional facilities. We all recognize that. I will support the tax. I have concerns that I think the council needs to be looking down the road, and that's what we're doing, and starting this now so we can start saving for the program. I don't feel real strongly that we don't have a solid objective at this point. I think we need to have that within the year. And I think we prudently, financially, we need to get started. I do have some concerns that our tax rate will be up close to the max. And if we have another unforeseen difficulty, we won't have much wiggle room. And this concerns me. But I wholeheartedly believe we need to get started on this, and I think nobody likes to see their taxes go up, but I believe this is a good tax. We'd start saving money. So I'll support it.
All right. See which one's a salesman and which one's the vet here. I'll say me on it. Anyway, I got just two things here. First thing, I hate paying taxes. I don't know if whoever knows me out there, I hate paying taxes. I don't care if it's property tax, income tax. You spend 7 cents on a $1 pop at McDonald's, I hate paying sales tax. I hate paying taxes. I really hate paying taxes on stuff that doesn't fix problems. You alluded to a couple of them, GIS and stuff. I hate paying taxes on stuff that doesn't fix problems. And that's the second part. I do not think a new building is going to fix a problem. I think there's proof of that in 12th statement right there. You put some people in jail, you're going to turn them out and they're going to come after you. That doesn't fix a goddamn thing. That's proof right there that putting some people in jail does not fix the problem. It's a larger problem, and that's the whole intent of that 10-06 bill that got us in this mess, is start looking at how you sentence and treat people differently. I live just outside of Burroughs, for those who don't know. It's a small town, there's not very many fancy houses in town. You drive by some, you know there's probably somebody in there that's on meth or heroin or something. I do not want to see that guy that lives in that house, that's one of my neighbors, go to jail. I want to see him get cleaned up and fixed. I don't want to just start throwing more and more people in jail. You build a bigger building, it's going to be full in 2 years. You know, I don't know what the right solution is. I don't think just saying let's build a building and walk away from it is the right solution. You know, we have a drug problem. We need to address that in conjunction with this or before you do this. I'll be voting against, I voted against it twice already. But I don't think just let's build a building and everything's fixed is going to fix it. It's not.
The only thing everybody else is based on what he says is true, but I'm going to address another aspect of this. I just want to remind the commissioners and everybody here that the county council, by majority vote, makes the final decision on what we can afford. And what we're going to spend, we approve the decision on anything, whether it's rehabbing the current jail, whether it's a new facility. We make the final decision on where the dollars go. So, this better be a good, we need to be moving. And we need to have something before us to make a decision on. And with the vote, I will vote for this because I think we've got to have some money there to start, even if it's fixing what we have. We've got to have a fund for it. We don't right now. And the new jail fund that we just started, that money can be, it's for soft costs of the new jail. Well, if we don't build a new jail, it goes back to the rainy day. So that money is not going to be wasted, it'll still be spent somehow on something that we need. So with that, I just want to remind everybody the council holds the purse strings and just like the decision here tonight, we'll think about it a lot.
Okay. I have a question about the ordinance. On the second page of the ordinance, it talks about this Indian code 6.3 and all of that, that we are limited to, which is this current tax is limited to 20 years.
Under current law, that's right.
That's just, you can't bond longer than 20, right?
That is
That's right, because we can't bond more than 20. Okay. So yeah. Yeah. I want some, can we put some writing in there to have it reviewed yearly? I mean, it doesn't say that in here.
Do your expenditure
Well,
rate,
the
your expenditure rate.
the trigger becomes when a bond is done, because that's when you make that commitment for the 20 years, 18 years, whatever is the amount of time. Between now and the time that you actually, and this body would be the one doing it, between now and the time that you actually would commit to a bond, yeah, you can review it anytime you want. You don't even have to wait annually, quite frankly. It's a tax you can take away until there's a bond, which is depending on it, and then you have no choice. But up until that, it's a decision that the council can make.
But as far as your expenditure rate, that's every October you review it.
That
Well,
goes annual.
yes, that's an annual.
Annual, just by.
So it's tied into it.
And I did ask about changing the wording of the ordinance in any way, and I was advised by Lawrence and Thornburg that the DLGF approved this, the way it's written, to go tinkering with it, then you jeopardize them in